Hello everybody. In today's video I'm going to talk about yarnovers. One of the questions that we get asked a lot is, where did my yarnover go? And some of that is because in the US our pattern writing conventions don't always designate the type of yarnover that you should execute in your pattern. We tend to just call any time that we wrap the yarn around the needle a yarnover. In other areas, such as in the UK, they'll use different terms for yarnovers. They might say yarn forward, yarn round needle, etc. And those can be more descriptive. So it's up to us to figure out the type of yarnover that we should execute depending on the pattern we're knitting. So today I'm going to talk about the differences of 4 kinds of yarnovers. The first one is a yarnover between 2 knits, and that's right here. The second will be a yarnover going from a knit to a purl, right here. Then the third one will be from purl to purl, right here. And the last one will be coming from a purl to a knit. And all of these have different ways of executing. So let's go ahead and get started here. We'll do our little edge stitches and knit 3 edge stitches. And we're going to knit up to the point of our next yarn over. For this sample, I didn't bother putting in any matching decreases to keep the stitch counts even, so we're just kind of growing every row here as we work across. All right, we're coming up on our next yarn over area, and this is the one that you probably all know already. It's the easiest, most straightforward, and we're coming from a knit stitch and we're heading to another knit stitch. So we're just going to bring the yarn one time counterclockwise around the needle. That's all there is to it. And now we'll continue. That one I'm sure everybody probably knows. So now we're going to knit up to our next yarn over area. All right, here we are. Now we're coming from a knit, but we're landing on a purl after the yarn over is done. Previously, we just went one time counterclockwise around the needle. And now if we notice, our yarn technically is towards the back, even though it's coming out here, the whole yarn over means it's in the back. So in order to do a purl, what do we have to do? We have to bring our yarn to the front again. So that means we bring the yarn all the way back around to the front in order to make the purl. I'm going to take that off and I'm going to do it one more time. It's going to feel like you're bringing your yarn around twice because you'll do this motion and you'll have to come around one more time so your yarn's in the front, ready to go in and make a purl stitch. Now we're going to purl over to our next yarn over area. Here. All right, I think we're there. We are. Now we're coming from a purl and we're heading to a purl. So for this one, our yarn's in the front. We're going to go around the needle counterclockwise and back to the front, and we are ready to continue purling. That one is also somewhat straightforward here. And this last one I think is the one that gets people the most, that can causes the most confusion. So here we are. We've come from a purl right here, and we look over here, we're headed to a knit. So we can't simply put our yarn to the back, because that's just what we would do if we were going to make a knit stitch. And technically what we need our yarn to do is drape over the needle just like this. So the way we do that is we actually do nothing. Our yarn stays in the front where it is from our purl. We put our needle in to make the knit. And when we reach to bring the yarn to the back to make the knit, do you see what's happening here? Look at that. Our yarn draped right over the needle, making its own yarn over. So I'm going to undo that. We're going to do one more time. We were here in the front because we had just purled. We're actually not going to do anything. We're just going to put the needle in to knit and let it drape over the needle as we execute our knit stitch here, thereby catching a yarn over on the needle. And we'll finish our row. And now, real quick, I'm going to work back over these stitches on the wrong side, and I'll be right back. Okay, here we are. I've worked across the wrong side row, and we're going to go through these just one more time to reiterate the 4 different kinds of yarn overs we just learned. So we'll come up here, start with our edge stitches, and we're going to knit up to the point of our first yarn over, Okay, we're almost there. Here we are. Now we yarn over between a knit and another knit, one time counterclockwise around the needle. That should feel just like the way you normally make a knit, except you're not putting your needle into a stitch. Now we're coming up and we have a yarn over from a knit but to a purl, which means we're going to come around almost feeling like twice, around and back to the front again. And now we can purl. And we'll purl our way over to the number 3. So in the notes for this video, if you would like to practice this yourself, we'll write out the stitch pattern and you can cast on and do a little practice swatching yourself. So now we're coming from a purl to a purl, so we're just going to go one time counterclockwise around the needle and back to the front. And we're going to purl up to the end. And I'm going to show you a little trick variation you can do with this last one. Sometimes some knitters find that they do not get enough of a whole definition here when they just simply let the yarn drape up and over like we covered when I went through it the first time. If you're one of those people who finds that you don't have enough of a hole appearing for your pattern, there is a little hack you can do. Basically what you're going to do is a reverse yarn over. So when we do yarn overs, we do them in the same direction that we create our stitches, which is always counterclockwise. So to do a reverse yarn over, you're going to go clockwise. So we're going to go between the needle to the back and around over the needle and to the back again. And now when we make our knit stitch, if we look, we have a yarn over here, but it's not seated on the needle correctly. It's sitting backwards. So we still have to do one more step with this trick yarn over. We're gonna go to the end and we're gonna turn around and come back. And on the wrong side row, we have to do a quick little fix for this guy. We'll knit our edge stitches here. All right, we're going to purl up to the yarn over. And here he is. You can see he's not sitting on the needle correctly. We're going to turn him around before we work him. We're going to put him back so he's oriented correctly, and now we purl him like normal. And if you are one of those people that finds that the regular way of working that yarn over does not leave enough of a hole, this will give you a bigger yarn over space and might help provide more definition for your pattern. So there you have it. 4 ways to create beautiful yarn overs. Thanks, everybody.